Hello folks, how you doing? Thank you for tuning into the MadVaper gaming channel. Today, I am vaping this, but that's not what I'm going to be talking about. But man, this is a Noisy Cricket from Wismec, a Velocity clone. This is a really good vape. Yes, but what I am talking about today is the Ceramikas tank from Vapeston. So a very interesting tank. It uses ceramic coils. So let me show you that right off the bat so that I can put the tank back together and kind of show you some of this other stuff going on. So it's a pretty big tank, holds about 5 mils, a little less than 5 mils. But that's what they recommend. But they also say don't fill it all the way, and you can fill it all the way if you want. So underneath here, you unscrew the base and, you know, standard bottom coil type stuff, right? You unscrew the base, unscrew the coil, and try not to get this dripping on my keyboard here. Let's focus. Did I just trip? No, not quite. All right. Hold on. Here we go. So I don't know if you can really see in there, but you have a piece of ceramic right in the middle, cotton around it. So it's Japanese organic cotton around the outside that it wicks into. And then, oh man, I wish you could see that. Let me turn my flashlight on my phone and maybe I can redirect it into there. Flashlight. Okay. Where was it focused? Okay, so you can kind of see how there's like a flat area on the inside. And of course, this is after some use. This is really hard to do backwards without getting that glare. That's pretty good. So you have the cotton on the outside, and then you have that ceramic layer on the inside. And I don't know if you can really see, but the wire is, it's flat wire. It's not round wire. And I'll refocus in a second. So it's either flat or flattened, and it's kind of baked in to the ceramic. So it's a food grade ceramic. And I know there was some concern with the Atlantis when it came out about how they were using ceramic in their coils. That's different. That was actually like, I guess, ceramic particles all packed together and surrounded with cotton. Leftover butter beer. That's not the case here. They take flattened wire or flat wire, and then they kind of put the ceramic in and kind of like, I guess, bake it. So there's actually, I don't know if the coil is actually on the inside or if there's like a layer of ceramic over, you know, the coil. But yeah, it's food grade ceramic, and it's actually baked into that center section. Then you got cotton. I guess I got to take it apart again. Actually, no, I don't. You can kind of see through the hole. The holes are actually really, really small. Let's focus. So yeah, those holes are big, but you can see on the inside there, that's actually the coil. So the replaceable coil part has a really, really small hole, and you think, man, this is not going to keep up with max VG. It does. Somehow it does. What I'm thinking is that there's less cotton in there, so the liquid kind of soaks in way easier. So the ceramic is actually porous to a degree, and it will absorb the cotton or absorb the liquid after it goes through the cotton. And the flavor is really, really good. So this is a top fill tank. It is kind of tall. I have it on the eVic VTC Mini right now. This is the firmware upgraded version, so it goes up to 75 watts. So I've been vaping it at 75. With this firmware upgrade, as a side note, yeah, it does 75, but at about 80% battery life, it drops it back down to 60 automatically because it just can't handle 75. But 60 also works really well too. So this is a 0.31 ohm coil. Now, if you've ever used the original Magnus or the Magnus TI, this was originally going to be called the Magnus Pro or the Magnus Plus, and they changed the name to the Ceramikas. So if you ever use the old versions, those coils will work. So the nickel coils, the Ni200 coils, and the DVC coils will also work in here. And those are just your standard wire with organic cotton around the outside. And they're actually really good tanks. Also, if you've ever used the Freemax Star tank or any of the temperature control variations or those coils will also work in here. The Vapeston Magnus and the Freemax Star are the same tank. I'm guessing they're the same company. However, Freemax proper doesn't really have a ceramic coil type thing yet. So filling it. Let's try to show you something down in there again. Yeah, you can kind of see that. So you can see right there, there's kind of this bubble over the top of the chimney. That does two things. It reduces your spit back when you pull through, and it also lets you fill right from the drip tip. So the only reason I took this out is so you can kind of see in there. When you turn this part up here to, where is it? So right now it's here. And is that fill? No, that's closed. Okay, so the full circle right here means that it's closed. When you turn it this way, it kind of clicks into place to open, and now, I don't know if you can kind of see up to the top cap, there's a little hole that opens up, and that's where you fill it from. So you can take the drip tip out if you want, but you don't need to. And then when you're done, you just close it again. So let's see if I have a little bit of, yeah, I do have some butterbeer. I'm not going to fill it up all the way. So when you go to fill it, you have this drip tip, and this drip tip is also, I believe, ceramic with stainless steel. It might be plastic. Nah, it doesn't really matter. It's a drip tip. You can use a few different drip tips on here, but it's wide bore, and it's kind of slanted on the inside. It kind of tapers down a little bit. Right. So I'm going to try to do this the best I can. If I'm going to fill it here, I need to focus. Like right there. Okay. So you're going to open it. Twist it to one side. I kind of like to find one of the holes. There's two of them. And then you want to fill it slowly, but you can fill right down the drip tip. Now, before I do this, the way this works, you can kind of see that one drop go down already. It kind of backs up if you do it too fast. But once you get liquid forming a stream all the way down into the liquid, it kind of siphons. You know, so once you get it going once, it doesn't back up as long as you maintain a constant squeeze. You know, try to put a bunch in at once. It might back up at first if you try to do it too fast. Just start out really, really slow. Just let it do its thing, creep down in there, and it should work pretty well. So I'm filling slowly. And now it's kind of working its way down, and there. Now you should be able to kind of press it a little harder and get it filled. It does take some time because it is a pretty big tank. But it's very important to just maintain like a constant pressure when you do this. Otherwise it will kind of back up. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to kind of let the rest do its thing, kind of work its way down. Now you got that bubble in there, remember, so none of this is actually going down the chimney. One thing I am concerned about is those things I showed you before, that bubble, that's actually kind of like, it's silicone, so not silicon, silicone, and there's like three like flaps, right? And they kind of like interlock, and then when you breathe in through the drip tip, it just kind of goes like that. So I'm a little bit concerned about those breaking off, and maybe you inhale it, or maybe it falls back down to the coil and it kind of melts there. I don't really know what happens. I don't know how sturdy they are. I've been using this for a few days now, and I haven't had a problem yet, but it's a potential issue. So once you get it filled, you close it again, obviously. And now you have a full tank when you do decide to fill it all the way. The airflow is down here. It's kind of nice. It's the same as the original Magnus, actually. It kind of, you hear that? It kind of clicks into like little grooves as you go. So I have it all the way open. And the airflow is adequate. I would say it's on par with the Triton, more than the Sub Tank, more than the iSub. What are some other ones out there? If you ever used the Magnus or the Freestar, very similar to that. Oh, excuse me. So how does it vape? It vapes really, really well. After you fill it, it can kind of get some spit back, even though it's not supposed to. But it's a lot better than a lot of other tanks, to tell you the truth. In general, once you get it going, there's absolutely no spit back at all. Started getting smooth towards the end there. So, yeah, it's really great. It's got Pyrex glass right here. This is all stainless steel. I mean, I like the way it looks. I don't think there's anything too extraordinary about it, but it's nice. I don't think there's anything ugly about it either. But the vape is really, 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 really good. And they say it can go from 20 to 120 watts. 75 and even 60 gets pretty warm pretty fast. So I haven't tried it that high, but I can show you what 20 watts looks like. Boop, 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 boop. I think that's a little conservative. I don't think 20 is going to do a whole lot. They say it's going to have cool vapor even at high wattages. That is false. It is a warm vape, but that's also a positive in my book. Warm vapes are good. You can always make it cooler, but if you're at 120 watts and it's a cool vape, something's wrong. So 20 watts. Yeah. I don't see how 20 watts would be good for anyone. If you're looking to use 20 watts and get some vapor out of it, this is not the tank for you. Let's try 35. Not bad, and that is a cool vape. That's a very cool vape. I wasn't really expecting that much vapor. So not bad. And the flavor is really, really good. There's no break-in period. There's no funky taste. It's just, it's very, very accurate. There's a little bit more throat hit for me right now because I'm on the verge of getting sick. I can tell. All right, so back up to 75 watts. This is going to be 4.82 volts. And even with those tiny little juice flow holes that you saw, it keeps up. It keeps up with max VG. I don't know how, but it does. So vapor production is great. I don't even know how high you can turn this. I'm kind of afraid to do any more than 75. Something I have noticed, though, is if you chain vape it, the first one starts out cool for a little bit longer than you'd expect with a normal coil, and then it kind of, boom, just gets warm, and then it stays warm if you chain vape it. Speaking of warm, this tank gets fucking hot. Really hot. Like, I didn't even vape it that hard, and it's warm. If I keep chain vaping it, it's not even going to be able to touch it, which I'm not really concerned about the tank. Worst case scenario, that heat makes your liquid thinner if you're using a max VG liquid or a high VG liquid, and that can start to leak on you. But I haven't had that issue at all. Probably in no small part to those tiny, tiny juice flow holes. What I am worried about is that heat transferring to the mod into the battery. And while that isn't, I guess, necessarily dangerous unless you're really hitting it hard, what happens is the whole mod feels warm. So if the whole mod feels warm, how are you supposed to know if it's just the tank or if your battery's actually getting warm? You actually have to take it out, be like, okay, yeah, the battery is fine. But if you have a different mod, you have internal batteries, something you can't take out, you'll never really know. In theory, you should be okay, right? Because it's only a 0.31. Most things fire down to 0.1, 0.15, something like that. So the resistance isn't too low. But I don't know. I just wish it didn't get that hot. But you got to think, it's not just a coil getting hot anymore. That coil has to heat up pretty much that entire piece of ceramic. And then that ceramic is heating the cotton. So I don't know. This one might actually be different. I don't know if it's porous ceramic. So it might... Cat, come on. I don't know if the ceramic is actually absorbing liquid. It looks like it is because it's hard to tell. I mean, it could be the vapor turning back into liquid as I pull through it. And that's what I'm seeing on the ceramic. I don't know. It doesn't really matter though. I mean, it tastes really, really good. No break-in period, no funky taste, really good vapor production, really warm vape if you want it to be, and a cool vape if you want it to be that too. A little bit of ramp-up time, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. So out of all the tanks that use pre-made coils, this one, as you see right now, 75 watts, is probably one of my favorites, just because it does put out a lot of vapor. And the flavor is really, really good. It kind of mellows everything out, especially this butter beer that I got from Vape Wild. It really brings out kind of the, I don't know, the butteriness and less of the beer. It's very, very smooth. It's keeping up. You can see it's got bubbles. There are bubbles happening. So what else does it come with? It comes with one ceramic coil, and it comes with a rebuilding section. And I'm not going to lie, the rebuilding section sucks. It's fucking awful. So this is the rebuilding section right here. It comes pre-built. Let me focus for you. Let's see if I can get a little more close up. There we go. So you can see in there, it's got a pretty robust coil. That looks like 21 gauge, 22 gauge, something like that. With organic cotton through the middle, and you have this little juice flow adjustment right here. You can just kind of unscrew it, and it'll open up those wicks, and they stuffed a shitload of wick in here. I know a lot of people like to put their cotton in really, really tight. I'm not a fan of doing that. It tends to give, I don't know how to describe it, a cottony taste when there's too much. So I would put far less, and I would try to trim it closer if I could, but I'm not going to rebuild this, and I'll show you why in a minute. So that's the rebuilding section. How do you rebuild it? Well, they give you some pre-made coils. You can also use your own in theory, but it's pretty much like rebuilding like a Vivinova or a bottom coil. You pretty much just stick the wires through, you pull this pin out, you pull the insulator out, you stick both wires through, and then one of them goes on the inside of the insulator, one goes on the outside, you put the insulator in, and then you put the positive pin in, bend both leads to the side, cut them. Why am I not showing you that? Because, let me show you the pre-made coils they give you. Right here. So you can see how they have non-resistance wire leads, right? And they're kind of, I guess, soldered or something to the actual heating wire up there. And this thing is massive, by the way. This is a 5mm internal diameter. Let me show you what else they give you real quick. They give you a little tool here. I don't even call it a tool. It's like a fucking cow magnet. It's a little rod that you can build around, and I measured this. This is 5mm. So if you just want something to build 5mm coils around, you're good. But for this one, let me get back to what I was talking about. These non-resistance leads don't heat up. However, because this isn't really built like any kind of rebuildable section should be, that insulator is going to melt. That's why they use the non-resistance leads, so that when you tuck the wire in between the side and the insulator, that insulator doesn't heat up and taste like burnt rubber. That was my problem with rebuilding those heads, and that's why I always advise people, like, yeah, if you're in a pinch, you can rebuild the coil heads, but if you really just want to rebuild exclusively, just buy a goddamn rebuildable. Stop rebuilding these. So this one comes with a rebuildable head, quote unquote, but really it's just kind of, you know, it's half-assed. Let's be honest. So this is not going to be a tank that you're going to want to rebuild by any means, but that's how you do it. You have that juice flow adjustment ring. You have giant holes in the side. The problem is it's always going to taste like burnt rubber unless you're using it at like 20, 30 watts. And even then it might. I'm not really sure what the heat tolerance is on rubber there, but I would not recommend using this at all. They do give you two giant coils right here with non-resistance leads, so you can use these, but once they're done, I don't think you can buy these alone anywhere. If you can still find ready wire, I mean, that would work, or if you want to go ahead and try to attach your own non-resistance wire to resistance wire, like, you know, the e-cig days, go for it. I mean, if you really want to take the trouble to do that. But again, if you're looking to rebuild, just buy a rebuildable. This is really not a rebuildable tank. However, for a tank with pre-made coils like this, it's one of the best ones, if not the best Subohm tank I've used. It's got a giant capacity. The flavor is amazing. It's really, really smooth. I guess, I mean, it brings out the flavor and also kind of tones down the throat hit, at least for me. In a good way. It's kind of hard. I mean, you're going to have to try it to believe it. Now, I don't want to oversell this. It's not amazing. I still prefer dripping. But as far as Subohm tanks go, this one's got some nifty little features, and they could use some improvement. I mean, the little dome to keep things from leaking, prevent spit back and help you fill it through the drip tip. Kind of nice. However, I wish there was more space so it didn't back up as easily. I wish you could fill it faster. The tank itself is pretty long, as you can see here. I mean, it's pretty much just as long with the drip tip as the entire mod is. And this is an e-cig VTC Mini for reference, in case you didn't know that already. The airflow is just fine. I have it a little bit more open on RDAs, but for this, it works really well to bring out some of that flavor. And as you saw, it produces very, very nice clouds. I would say anywhere from 40 watts and higher is where you're going to get clouds and flavor. If you want it cooler, you could probably go as low as 30, but they recommend 20 as a minimum, and that's just not realistic, and I don't know how high you can go. My recommendation would be, the other thing, in the instruction manual, it does say you can go to 120 watts, but it also says to do it after you've been through 3 or 4 tanks, which for me is like kind of par for the course. I mean, as your coils get older, they don't really heat up as well anymore. So if you're using a variable device, you know, usually you find yourself starting low, finding your sweet spot. And then as your coil gets older, you kind of need to turn it up. And then after a while, because you turned it up, it starts to burn off a little bit of that black gunk and it kind of tastes crappy. So I don't know. The coils are also supposed to last 3 to 4 times as long. I call bullshit on that. Heat is heat. Heat is going to degrade your liquid either way. Now, I mean, keep using it as long as it tastes good. but you would think ceramic, you can dry burn it. I don't think that's the case here because it's still surrounded with cotton. The wire inside the ceramic is kind of heating up the entire piece of ceramic, which is in direct contact with the cotton. So, I mean, I think the cotton's still going to burn, right? Like, that would make sense. Now, I guess if you're out of coils and stuff and, you know, you want to give it a shot, or you're about to change coils and you want to see if you can dry burn it, go for it. Post in the comments. Let me know how it goes, because it could be possible. Maybe because of the surface area of the ceramic, it doesn't really do that. I don't know. You could probably boil it. Boil it would probably work okay here. You might want to take the insulator out. I don't know. Why bother? For me, if you're going to do stuff like that, just get a rebuildable. But yeah, so that is the Ceramikas Subohm tank from Vapeston. My new favorite tank? I think so. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it an 8.75 out of 10. That feels right. 8.75 out of 10 feels right. And it's just because I'm a little bit hesitant about that dome kind of breaking off over time, and, you know, I'm choking on it. You wouldn't choke on it. I mean, I don't know if you notice it, but, you know, it might get into your lungs. You might cough it up, or it might fall the other way and melt. Don't really know. Like I said before, I wish it was a little easier to fill. It is really nice that all you got to do is twist and fill through the drip tip. So that's a plus. And everything else is good. It's really kind of all up here that I have a problem with, you know, and not even a problem. Like I said, 8.75 out of 10. It's a nice tank. Let me show you the 510 connection just in case you're curious. Nothing special. Stainless steel. Stainless steel, non-adjustable. Glass tank, stainless steel. Top filling, 5 mil capacity. Keeps up with max VG just fine. Excellent flavor. Damn good vapor. I say it's a win. So this is going to be probably competitively priced with other Subohm tanks. Probably in the $40 to $60 range. Maybe even the $50 range. $40 to $50. And then as time goes on, that'll obviously drop. But like I said, you can use Vapeston or Freemax's nickel coils, or their original DVC coils, which are actually parallel coils. Parallel dual coils. It's, God, ever since SmokeTech came out with all that stuff, it's hard to kind of differentiate. It is 2 wires doing that. So it's a parallel dual coil, but not SmokeTech's parallel dual coil that they call a quad coil, where it's 2 wires, like 2 separate things, parallel. You get it. It's a fucking parallel wire. The coils are all placed vertically, except the rebuildable section. So yeah, let's, I'll take a step back and we'll vape it a little bit. I'm going to put it up to the mic here. I bet you can't hear any spitting or gurgling. You can hear my fat head hitting against the microphone, though. So there you have it. Excellent, excellent tank. It's the Ceramikas from Vapeston. Should be released very, very, very soon, within the next week or 2. So that's it. That is it for the review. Now let's go on to my self-promotion. I stream on Twitch 5 days a week. I play video games and vape a lot. So if you like video games or you like vaping, come and join me at twitch.tv/MadVaper. On YouTube, when I can't do a review like this, because I only really like to do reviews where there's not a whole lot of reviews out yet. So finding products that are pre-release or recently released and don't have an overabundance of information out there, that's when I'm going to do a review. So I'm not going to review like this thing right here, the VTC Mini, because there's so much information on that. In fact, I already did this on the MadVapes channel. Go check them out too. Check me out too, I guess you could say. I do the YouTube videos for MadVapes, so go up in that YouTube bar and type in MadVapes, and those are all my official videos. You've also got, here on YouTube, I'm going to start doing vlogs. because I need more content. So that's where I was going with that. When I don't have a product to review, such as this, I'm going to do a vlog, which is basically I get in front of the camera here and just bullshit for a while. Hopefully that'll become more organized and more focused in the future. But for now, it's just going to be talking about whatever is on my mind. So I'm going to try to do that at least once a week. And if there's anything worth moving over from Twitch, from my live streams that get recorded, then that'll make its way over to YouTube as well. So if you like the video, please subscribe. Please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to comment with any criticisms or if you got any questions about vaping in general. And I guess that's it. Let's go back to this. Now, here's the exception to the rule. I may actually review this just because I love it so much. So this is the Noisy Cricket. Long story short, it's a series box mechanical with a hybrid connection. It's basically a simple with an extra battery. Doubles the voltage. It's really easy to use. It's really cheap and it hits really hard. But that's a video for another day. Streaming tonight. Gonna be playing Fallout 4, so check that out. Twitch.tv/MadVaper. That's me. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the review. Again, it's the Ceramikas from Vapeston. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.